Hello and welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. It is such a big week here in New York City and maybe where you are too. The claws of fall are working their way into our flesh, which I'm kind of fine with. I like this time of year because it means like apples, hugging hobos, and football. Jimmy Fallon is here with me.
And thrilled. And just on the way up to Fox today, I bought some pumpkin spice meth. That's not, I mean, you couldn't get this a month ago.
You can't.
You couldn't get it a month ago.
That is not an August surprise.
Whole nother world.
Okay, let me ask you this. Speaking of August surprise, and this is the problem with early voting, and we shouldn't have early voting. We should have election day, and you got to show ID for it.
And
I used to never be on the side of, you got to show ID, but now I'm like, no, there's so many stupid, actually racist arguments for keeping ID out of the polling place, and then they publish lists of all the places you need ID, to get a tattoo.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like if you're getting a tattoo, you also it's fine.
Yeah.
We all have ID. I'm fine with that. What the hell was I talking about? The October surprise.
Yes.
So the early voting is dumb.
Yeah,
because so much can happen, and it's like, why should you release all your dirty tricks in September? Why should a campaign have that much pressure on them that they should just let go of the goods in September? Because it used to be like you sort of metered it out a little bit, and you drop little hints and nuggets, and then October, like, boom. Here's a picture of George H.W. Bush humping a dead alligator.
But you got to see the alligator before you judge the guy. I mean, that was a
sexy
certain
gator.
Alligators, dead or alive, that hoo-hoo. Listen, I hate the way we do this right now. And I think, you know how they say, like, necessity's the mother of invention? Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. It's an inevitable that we're going to have an electoral outcome decided by the fact that voters were kind of denied a critical piece of information. A lot of people would argue that happened in 2020. Yeah. Because they killed the Hunter Biden laptop story. A lot of people had already voted. But even people who hadn't yet voted were just being denied the information.
Yes. And 20% of those people have said
they would have changed their vote.
If I knew this was real, I would have voted differently.
Yeah, imagine that. And think about this, okay? Because this happened in the same week. Merrick Garland had a presser to be like, foreign governments are trying to interfere in our election. In the same week, Hunter pled guilty to tax evasion, which also proves that our government interfered in our election.
Yes.
Because that guilty plea was based largely because he was faced with a lot of evidence from the laptop. This is why we can't have nice things.
Jim, it's enough to make your blood boil. If you're prone to conspiracy theories, like, this has been an absolute field day. Like, this has been the greatest era in the history of conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, everything that seemed far-fetched 10 years ago, now completely plausible.
Which brings me to the moon landing. Like, we got two dudes stuck in space. Like, we don't know how to get them back.
We have a dude and a woman, and we don't know if they're in love. Yeah. We don't know if they were in love, and now they hate each other. Can you imagine being stuck in space with, like, a sneaky link that went sour?
This is, because you know what's funny about that? This is like a spinoff called Above Deck. You know, they have the show Below Deck. Yeah. We're above deck now. Yeah. Where are the cameras for this one? I agree. But yeah, what a dumb time to be alive.
It's dumb, but it really, like, we don't know what's going to happen in November. That's, and if you are a fan of either one of these candidates, you look at them and you're like, wow, Kamala is so stupid. Her comments that she made in 2019 are so dumb. And the Biden-Harris economic record is awful. She has to run against everything. And you're like, this is such a layup. But she's still like 1.5 points ahead in the RCP polling average.
It's weird.
And Trump, like, Democrats look at that and go, convicted felon, like convicted sexual abuser, convicted of everything, insurrectionist, like the easiest person in the world to beat. And yet the race is still just within the margin of error.
And what it tells you is we just have different values now as a country. Like, we're in that place. The Trump people prioritize what they do, and they also don't trust the legal system anymore, which is sad. It's a bad day for the country.
Back to the conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, I know. But traditionally, if a politician got indicted for something, that was the end. Just the indictment was the end. There was a speech about how we've only begun to fight, and then them and their mistress flew off to a Cayman island and had a good time.
Now the indictment is the appetizer.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I can't wait for my second act. Like, George Santos is probably going to be on Dancing with the Stars and developing a reality show and selling the movie rights to his story.
No, and that's why I think Bob Menendez is a legit contender in 2028. He's like, he's already got the gold bars.
It's like, all I got is the gold bars. That's
All
it.
I got is these bars.
Yeah.
But no, I think that's the biggest problem right now. And it's a sad commentary. Like the fact that Trump has had as much legal trouble as he has, and it really did move the needle, if anything, in his favor, is really an indictment of the legal system and not him.
Yeah.
But that's not good for the country.
No.
That people don't believe it. But that's another bad sign for the election, too.
But every time the FBI screws up, they're like, well, they shouldn't have raided Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, and that's like, oh, the school shooter in Georgia was on the FBI's list. And they're
course he
like,
was.
oh, we got to keep an eye on this kid.
Yeah.
He's not good news.
Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
It's really frustrating, man. But I think that's the problem. I think we're careening one way or the other.
Are we Corinne Jean-Pierring?
That would be great because she wore a yellow jacket today, like she won it on my show. She wore a yellow jacket at the presser today. And she should have worn it. She was on my show.
Have you invited her on your show?
Worn it.
Have you invited her on?
No, she was on. Remember when we met her at
I
the
know that, but have you
dinner?
invited her to be
Flat
a part
out
of the
on?
panel?
No, we haven't made it, and we should. That's the right thing to do.
Yes, it is.
Do you think KJP comes on the show?
Yes, I do.
All right, we're going to work this out.
I think on some level she's obsessed with you.
I think it's obvious. The
And I
clues are
think
there.
it's weird. Like, I worry for her wife, and I worry for Jenny, frankly.
There's a lot of chubby chasers out there. One of them happens to be at the White House press podium right now, and she just doesn't realize it. When she finishes the briefing every day, she sings somewhere out there. Like when she's done sparring with Ducey, she's like, I wonder if there was a guy his height but fatter, a little less educated. Somewhere.
The haggard Sean McVay.
There he is. Sean McVay let himself go. So I'm excited to get a debate in tomorrow. That would be good.
Yeah.
We should have one. I don't know that we'll have two.
We're not going to have two. She does badly, we're not having two.
Yeah, that's the
She
problem.
does well, we're also not having two because it's a one-off for her.
Yep, that's what I think. And
I would bet you money right now. And did you see that Real Clear Politics has at the top of their polling page, they have the RCP polling average and then the RCP
betting average.
Yes.
Yes, it's there.
Yeah.
And the betting average for them has Trump at 51.5%.
Yes.
Nate Silver has him in the 60s, like 63%.
Yeah.
And he hit his highest point with predicted. It's about 62%. So the bookies still favor Trump at this junction, but nothing matters till tomorrow night. Nothing.
See, I think tomorrow night is the only thing that matters.
Yeah, that's what I
really
mean.
do.
That's what I mean.
Like, we're not getting an interview from her. She's not going to hold a no-holds-barred Trump-style press conference. He'll hold 10 between now and the election just to prove that he can.
Yep.
J.D. Vance is going to go on every show. Tim Walz won't go on any show. Like, they're going to keep themselves in a little box, and they're going to put a lid on it, just like they did in 2020.
Yep.
And what's more likely? Aaron Rodgers makes it to the playoffs with the Jets, or Donald Trump wins the Oval Office again?
Ooh, no, I actually, it's really funny. Aaron Rodgers, the best bet tonight on Monday Night Football is over 3.5 plays. If he can stay on the field for over 3.5 plays.
I was folding laundry last year,
Yeah.
and I came back and I was like, wait, what?
It was like
The game had just started. I was like, what?
It was the most Jets thing in the world. But it tells you everything you need to know about being a Jet is that Aaron Rodgers, for a while there, was considering being RFK Jr.'s running mate. He felt safer behind a Kennedy running for president than he did behind the Jets'
His own offensive line.
Yeah. So, I listen, I could see the Trump man winning this, but here's the real issue. And this is what I found, and it builds on a point you made about him doing interviews and availing himself and Vance availing themselves. Kamala and Waltz are playing a prevent defense in a game they're not winning. That's what's weird. Usually in an NFL game, you're up 13 with 2 minutes to play. You play the prevent. They're doing that, but I can't imagine they truly believe they're winning right now.
Okay, but is it they think they're winning, or they're just getting really bad advice and they both don't know what they're doing, so they're listening to idiots?
That may be what it is, that they think their surrogates can make the case for her presidency better than she can.
Yeah.
So that might
I mean, that's not a lot of confidence in her.
No, but I mean...
Like, if you're going to make a precedent-setting vote,
Yeah.
it has to be for a person who's like, I got this.
Yeah.
Like, I will grab the bull by the horns and I will ride this son of a banshee right into the china shop.
And Trump has openly admitted he'll grab the bull lots of places, okay? It's, not just by the horns. I mean, this is a grabber. This is if the American people want to grab her. Okay.
Maybe that's what makes the difference to
You
voters.
talk about
Jim.
the metrics nobody analyzes
Yeah,
anymore. in
maybe
politics.
voters, when they pull the lever, they're thinking about Trump pulling something else,
Good stuff.
and that's enough for us.
That's
Jim.
gonna do her. Wow, where did the time go?
All right, we gotta go. This has been Kennedy Saves the World. You're so lucky. Along with Jimmy Fallon, I'm Kennedy.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app. Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.